Henry wanted to climb a mountain, but he only had one shoe. His other shoe was at the shoemaker being fixed. I'll get it on my way, he thought. But on his way to the shoemaker's shop, Henry was stopped by Sam, the tax collector. Henry, he said, you haven't paid your taxes. Pay a state. That let farmers own slaves? Never, said Henry. You'll have to pay or go to jail, Sam said. Then take me to jail, said Henry, and Sam did. The door slammed shut. Henry lay down on the bed and looked up at the white walls and the white ceiling. He put his bare foot against the wall. I wish I had my other shoe, Henry thought. He took crayons from his pocket and drew a shoe on the white wall. Beside the shoe, he drew a flower with a hummingbird on it. Next, Henry drew the tree the hummingbird lived on. Under the tree, he drew a path that crossed the river and climbed a mountain. Henry got his shoes wet. As he drew up the wall, he sang a song. The bear goes over the mountain, the bear goes over the mountain, the bear goes over the mountain to see what he can see. Henry climbed up waterfalls. He marched in and out of clouds. When it started to rain, Henry pulled his hat down and put on his coat. He drew a hawk, soaring in the clouds on the ceiling. At the top of the mountain, Henry met a traveler coming up the other side. He was singing this song. The other side of the mountain, the other side of the mountain, the other side of the mountain will set me free at last. Henry and the traveler sat together on the mountaintop. They talked and laughed and sang more songs. You have no shoes, said Henry. Are you walking far? As far as the star in the north, the traveler said. That's a long way, said Henry. Take my shoes. The traveler put on Henry's shoes. He stood and waved. Thank you, friend, he called. Henry started back up the mountain. The path went down and up and down again over sharp rocks that hurt his feet. He tripped over tree roots and logs in the path. Ouch, said Henry. Once, he caught his foot in a rabbit hole. Henry rolled down the last hill and splashed across the river. He had not slept all night. The sun was coming up when he stumbled into the small room. Just then the door opened. It was Sam. Someone has paid your taxes, Henry, Sam said. How does it feel to be free? Henry smiled. It feels like being on the top of a very tall mountain, he said, and he walked to the shoemaker shop to buy a new pair of shoes. The end. This story is called Miss Redwing's Speckled Egg. Old Mother Westwind came down from the purple hills in the golden light of an early morning. Over her shoulders was slung a bag, a great big bag, and in the bag were all of Old Mother Westwind's children, the Merry Little Breezes. Old Mother Westwind came down from the purple hills and the green meadows, and as she walked, she crooned a song. Ships upon the ocean wait, I must hurry, hurry on. Mills are idle if I'm late, I must hurry, hurry on. When she reached the green meadows, Old Mother Westwind opened her bag, turned it upside down, and shook it. Out tumbled all the Merry Little Breezes, and they began to spin around and round for very joy. For you see, they were to play in the green meadows all day until Old Mother Westwind should come back at night and take them all to their home behind the purple hills. First, they raced out over to see Johnny Chuck. They found Johnny Chuck sitting just outside his door eating his breakfast. One, for very mischief, snatched right out of Johnny Chuck's mouth the green leaf of corn he was eating, and ran away with it. Another playfully pulled his whiskers, while a third rumpled up his hair. Johnny Chuck pretended to be very cross indeed, but really he didn't mind it a bit, for Johnny Chuck loved the Merry Little Breezes and played with them every day. And if they teased Johnny Chuck, they were good to him too. When they saw Farmer Brown coming across the green meadows with a gun, one of them would dance over to Johnny Chuck and whisper to him that Farmer Brown was coming. Johnny Chuck should hide away, deep down in his snug little house underground. And Farmer Brown would wonder and wonder why he would never could get near enough to shoot Johnny Chuck. But he never could. When the Merry Little Breezes left Johnny Chuck, they raced across the green meadows to the Smiling Pool to say good morning to Grandfather Frog, who sat on a big lily pad watching for green flies for breakfast. Chug-a-rum, said Grandfather Frog, which was his way of saying good morning. Just then, Along came a fat green fly, and up jumped Grandfather Frog. When he sat down again on the lily pad, the fat green fly was nowhere to be seen, but Grandfather Frog looked very well satisfied indeed, as he contentedly rubbed his white waistcoat with one hand. "What's the news, Grandfather Frog?" cried the Merry Little Breezes. "Miss Redwing has a new speckled egg in her nest in the bulrushes," said Grandfather Frog. "We must see it!" cried the Merry Little Breezes, and away they all ran to the swamp where the bulrushes grow. Now someone else had heard of Mrs. Bullwing's dear little nest in the bulrushes, and he had started out bright and early that morning to try and find it, for he wanted to steal the little speckled eggs, because they were very pretty. It was Tommy Brown, the farmer's boy. When the Merry Little Breezes reached the swamp where the bulrushes grow, they found poor Miss Redwing in great distress. She was afraid that Tommy Brown would find her dear little nest, for he was very, very near it, and his eyes were very, very sharp. "Oh," cried the Merry Little Breezes, "we must help Miss Redwing save her pretty speckled eggs from bad Tommy Brown." So one of the Merry Little Breezes whisked Tommy Brown's old straw hat off his head, over into the Green Meadows. Of course, Tommy ran after it. Just as he stooped to pick it up, another little breeze ran away with it. Then they took turns, first one little breeze, then another little breeze, running away with the old straw hat, just as Tommy Brown would almost get his hands on it. Down past the Smiling Pool and across the Laughing Brook they raced, and chased the old straw hat, Tommy Brown running after it, very cross, very red in the face, and breathing very hard. Way across the Green Meadows, they ran to the edge of the wood, where they hung the old straw hat in the middle of a thorn tree. By the time Tommy Brown had it once more on his head, he had forgotten all about Mrs. Redwing and her dear little nest. Besides, he had heard the breakfast horn blowing just then, so off he started for home, up the lone little path through the woods, and all the Merry Little Breezes danced away across the Green Meadows to the swamp where the bulrushes grow, to see the new speckled egg in the dear little nest where Mrs. Redwing was singing for joy. And while she sang, the Merry Little Breezes danced among the bulrushes, for they knew, and Mrs. Redwing knew, that some day, out of that pretty new speckled egg, would become a wee baby redwing.